Hey everybody, Steve Q here, and welcome to my, I don't know what sort of video this is really. There is no script, no forethought. I'm just doing this from the webcam on the computer actually, and kind of been experimenting with because I'm quite new to YouTubing. I always joke with my son, who's now 14, that he used to be a pro YouTuber. It really pisses him off actually when I say that, but he was actually doing YouTube videos and making little software products, graphics packs for people like 3 years ago when he was 11. And I don't know why I didn't sort of embrace this then, because there's plenty of other people my age who are and who were before then. But hey, it doesn't matter, we're here now. But yeah, so I've been experimenting with like the iPhone, with the high-end Android phones, also with a couple of high-end Samsung cameras. One of those is an NX1, which I recently bought, which is an amazing camera, 30 megapixels, 4K. It's like the top, one of the best all-round, all-in-one, mirrorless DSLR lookalikes that you can get. And then I got a Samsung Galaxy NX, which again looks like a DSLR camera, but the amazing thing about that camera, even though it's only a 20 megapixel shooter and it's not got as many technical and manual functions as the NX1, it actually has like an Android interface on it, and you can boom straight up to YouTube from that thing, and you can use video editing software on it as well. You can even make Skype calls on it and get your emails. Seriously, I don't know why they didn't really champion that camera for a long time. It wasn't out that long, and then Samsung got out of the camera business. I think they sold their camera business to Nikon for some reason. Probably because they were making high-end cameras in smartphones now. And isn't it amazing how you look back, you know, when my son was born actually, back in 2002, there was a Nokia phone came out, which was I think it was probably the first, if not one of the first, but definitely, I think it was the first camera phone that came out. And I remember my mum and a few other people sort of smiling. It's like, oh, Steve's got another gadget, because I have got a reputation for being a bit of a gadget boy, even though actually I don't always use them to their fullest extent, a bit like all of us with our brains. So I'm kind of a lot of the time all the gear and no idea, but hey, it doesn't matter. And everybody was sort of saying that this camera phone was a bit of a fad, which was quite interesting, because if you look now, probably 90% of the world's popular photography is done, I don't know, but some huge figure like that is done on phones, on iPhones and on Samsung and Huawei phones and whatever. And it's interesting that now Nokia, they're trying to make a comeback, aren't they, into the phone business, and they've launched a phone that looks exactly like an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy phone and doesn't even have as high a spec as those phones. I don't know what they're trying to do, making a comeback into the phone and the camera phone business with something which isn't even as good as, you know, the other thing. I mean, it gets a Huawei Mate 8 or even the newly just launched Mate 9 blow this thing out of the water. So I wish them well. They used to be the market leaders along with Sony Ericsson, but things change a lot, don't they? And it's interesting when people talk about fads, because I mean, I talk about sales a lot, yeah? So, I mean, here's something really interesting about Attitudes. I was running a sales floor, had about 50 people on the phones, and we were selling online advertising. This is back in like 1999. And I'm not going to say who, but it's a major nationwide retailer, and they advertise on TV all the time, and they're always having a sale. And you can sit down on the things that they sell. But one of my sales guys contacted them and asked them if they wanted to advertise with us. And whereas normally, because we weren't usually selling to small and medium businesses, we get like an instant decision because we were dealing with a decision maker. This company, they had layers of strata and protocols to go through, you know. And it was probably about a month of to-in and throw-in with emails and phone calls with their IT. And this went up to board level. It wasn't just someone in a junior position dealing with this, you know. This went right up to board level. And we got a reply eventually from these people saying that, I'm paraphrasing now because it was a long time ago, but it was something along the lines of, thanks for your kind offer, thanks for all the information and your patience, but we're not going to advertise with you at this moment because we are sort of taking a back seat on this internet thing at the moment because we think it could be a bit of a here today, gone next week type of fad. Isn't that unbelievable? And now probably this organisation sell at least half of their considerable multi-million pound a month turnover online. But isn't it incredible how you would say that at that time when we think the internet might be a bit of a fad? Crazy. And camera phones, a bit of a fad, a bit of a gimmick. You never know. And even going back to mobile phones, I was a lad from the north of England, although I've not lived in the UK for a long time, and I remember getting my first phone, you know the one about that tall with the aerial on it like that, a Motorola 8500, and you could store 10 numbers in this thing. It was incredible. But I got it because I saw guys in London with them. I got the London bug at quite an early age, and I was down there doing financial services and mortgage broking and that type of thing. And I had to have one of these things. I think I paid nearly £2,000 in about 1986 for my first mobile phone. And, you know, compared to today, it's just incredible, isn't it, what these things can do. But the whole point is I took this thing then back up to the north of England, and I got called a poser, a tosser, pretentious. I am all of those things, by the way, but I mean, this was in particular relation to this phone. And people saying, you know, again, those things will never catch on. Who do you think? Well, you know, incredible. And I also remember somebody who is a very astute businessman and very successful at what he does, and usually someone who can spot an opportunity. Well, this guy was looking for something to do, looking for a new business opportunity to go into. He'd sold his previous business of video shops, which had been very successful, one of the biggest in the UK. And it was about the time, I'm trying to think, it would be in the 90s. I know Carphone Warehouse just had 2 or 3 shops in London. So Charles Dunstone had just got into the market with Carphone Warehouse. And but a lot of people had mobile phones, clearly, you know, and this guy looked at the market, did a load of research. He was like meticulous in his research about it, and decided not to go into the mobile phone business. And he concluded that the market was saturated, almost everybody had got a phone, and therefore wasn't a business to go into. And if you look from 3 shops back then, whenever that was, that Carphone Warehouse had, look at the expansion and the growth, and look at shops like Phones For You that came on the back of that, by John Cordwell, and you know, all sorts of other things as well, which just again proved that business had another lease of life, and and it will have more and more leases of life, because it just goes on and on and on. We used to be phased about how many minutes we get now. Now nobody talks to each other, you know, nobody really wants to get on the phone. Now we're all into data. I remember when I bought my first phone, you know, the modern type phones, the smaller ones, after this big era of phones. And the sales guy saying, it does this, and this is your package. Oh, and by the way, you can do these things called SMS short messages, but nobody's really bothered about that. That's all they do now, isn't it? Or WhatsApp and text and Messenger. So it just shows how things can change. So I hope this has been maybe a little bit interesting. It's just, as I say, an experiment for me using the webcam on here. So I'm going to publish it, leave it up on YouTube for a while, and maybe do another video talking about gadgets and shit like that on my iPhone or on my big NX1 camera, when I can find out or work out how to use it to the best of its massive ability. Until next time then, my friends, I'm Steve Q. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.